Hello, sixth graders, it's Mr. Gardell. I don't know what I'm doing. All right, enough of the whistling, Gardell. Let's get the show on the road. All right, so recently, your focus of the U.S. Dakota War of 1862 was tensions rising. What would cause the traditional Dakota primarily to become so frustrated, so upset that they would start a war? A war with the U.S. government, a war against settlers. So let's go through this learning activity that you recently completed. And as always, if you need to pause the video at any time to correct yours, by all means do so. This learning activity will be on the quiz at the end of the week. All right, here we go. So we recently discussed the status of the food source, but just to refresh, the traditional Dakota food supplies were short. Many traditional Dakota were hungry and getting sick, especially the children. So imagine, okay, these traditional Dakota, their children are not feeling well. They're hungry. They're sick. Of course, their tensions are going to rise. They're going to get frustrated. On the flip side, the Farm Dakota, the government provided the Farm Dakota with extra food. So, what was the status of the US government payments, those annuities? The annuities were late and often less than promised. In other words, the government wasn't keeping their word. Imagine if you were owed money for doing your chores, around your own home. And imagine if it came time to payday, you only got half of it or none of it at all. You would be upset too. And that's how the Dakota felt, primarily the traditional Dakota. They were like, well, wait a minute. We made a deal. We signed a treaty. And the treaty states that you owe me this for my land. And the government didn't do it. They didn't follow through with it. So what was the behavior of the traders? You know what? The traders were getting fed up too. Why? Because the traders were being promised by the Dakota, primarily the traditional Dakota, that they would in turn receive money for goods that they had given to the Dakota. And so the traders refused to extend any more credit and closed their stores to the Dakota. Where would the Dakota get what they needed to survive? It was these traders that they had made deals with. It was these traders that had said, hey, pay me later, pay me later, pay me later, or once your annuity payments arrive from the US government. But in the end, as we said earlier, the Dakota weren't getting those annuities as they were promised by the US government. And so in the end, the traders were really forced to just stop. Sorry, I can't extend any more credit to you. I have to close my doors to you. Behavior of government workers. They refused to give the Dakota their food from the agency storehouse until the money or the annuities arrived. The missionaries continued to work to change the Dakota culture. They wanted them to accept Christianity into their own lives, and tensions were rising between the traditional and Farm Dakota because the Farm Dakota had changed their ways. They became something different. They became a European American. So the traditional Dakota blamed the Farm Dakota for abandoning their heritage, abandoning their culture, changing who they were. And so all of this, everything, the food source, the US government annuity payments being late, the traders not giving the Dakota what they needed to survive, the missionaries pressuring them to change, and the Farm Dakota becoming someone different. All of this caused the traditional Dakota tensions to rise until finally they couldn't take it anymore. And that's where you're going to start today with war. And so when you get to war, you will need to read the following pages 9.13 to 9.17. Here is a short video that captures war during the US Dakota War of 1862. And then, of course, don't forget to complete the exit ticket on war in Schoology when you are finished with both the reading as well as watching the video. I would strongly encourage you to complete notes on war And what I would do is almost create not necessarily a timeline, but complete your notes in chronological order. What happened first? Okay. What happened second? What happened third? What happened fourth? And keep those notes. Those notes will become valuable to you not only today in completing the exit ticket, but when you get to the Chapter 9 or U.S. Dakota War of 1862 quiz at the end of the week. All right, sixth graders, enjoy as best you can reading about the war itself of the U.S. Dakota War of 1862. Take care, and as always, if you have any questions for me, please contact me anytime or contact your HOA teacher. Take care.